Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Beyond the Mask. Just before we get going on the interviews here, we actually have some special guests with us tonight. I'll let them introduce themselves and enjoy a few of the tracks that they got for you here.
Hello everybody, we're 7th String. I'm Cailen Penner. This is Ryan Peters on guitar. We got Jayden Martins. And then that's Samuel Peters in the back on drums. We've got, 2 songs we're going to play for you guys today. This first one's called Set Me Free.
Offer me sympathy, exactly what you think I need, 'cause that's what I made you believe. Attention gained by outward grief. In my head I'm beating lies eating up my life, just bleeding with no reason. Hurting, but I don't know why. The pain, it gets me high. It gives me what I need to survive. Yeah! Don't waste your time with me. Yeah! Too drunk with misery. Yeah! Even though it's killing me. Don't wanna be set free. Set me free. You offer me sympathy, exactly what you think I need. I'm hurting, but I don't know why. The pain, it gets me high. It gives me what I need to survive. Yeah! Don't waste your time with me. Yeah! Too drunk with misery. Yeah! Even though it's killing me, don't wanna be set free. Set me free. I wish I might have this wish I wish tonight. So I try, it's all in vain. Always in the chosen pain. Waste your time with me. Too drunk with misery. And even though it's killing me, don't wanna be set free. Set me free.
This next song is called Hey You.
You can steal my pride, but I still hold my head high. You punish me with pain, but I won't die. Hey you wanna fight? You think you're winning, get it right. You're taking all of my strength. Think you won, but I'm still here. Chain me to the ground, make me unable to stand. You make me weak, unable to lift a hand. You steal my breath, make me gasp for air. And I try to speak, but the words aren't there. Hey you wanna fight? You think you're winning, get it right. You're taking all of my strength. Think you won, but I'm still here. So let's go, game on. Hey! Crying eyes, you steal my breath, make me gasp for air. And I try to speak, but the words aren't there. Hey you wanna fight? You think you're winning, get it right. You're taking all of my strength. Think you won, but I'm still here. So let's go, game on. Hey! You're taking all of my strength. Use up all of my words. You think you won, but I'm still here. Never again will I let you win.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Mask. Last episode, we had 2 members of 7th String. This episode, we have the other 2. So I'll let them introduce themselves to you here.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Cailen. I'm the front man, guitarist, songwriter of 7th String.
And I'm Jayden. I play the 5-string bass in the band, and yeah, just in the background.
The Thunder Man.
The Thunder Man, that's right.
So tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah. Well, where do you start talking about yourself, man?
Good points, good points.
Good points. Yeah, I mean, all of us, I think, all the members of the band, we're from Steinbach area, surrounding areas. We all grew up in that area. Some of the surrounding local cities are like around Steinbach. And as Sam and Ryan mentioned before, the 3 of us, we all went to the same school, and then I met Jayden through a praise and worship band at a church I was attending at the time, and through work, we ended up being co-workers for a couple years.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was the good old days. Yeah, so yeah, we kind of all grew up, I think, very similar, same communities. So, you know, communities tend to have a similar mindset of how you're raised and stuff like that. I mean, we all have different stories in that sense. My childhood was pretty good. Honestly, from my recollection and memories, you know, I had a good childhood, I had great parents. And then kind of just recently there was a divorce in my family. My parents separated, and kind of that brought up a lot of questions and stuff. Because like I said, I had a good childhood. I had a great childhood. Good memories, fond memories of being a kid. And then you have something like that happen, and then you get older, you realize some of the things that were there that you didn't know, because as Sam mentioned, you're just a kid. You don't you don't pick up on those things. You don't see those things. You're too young. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. Sorry, I'm totally blanking. I've got things to say. It just I'm not very good with the saying them in the right order. I very much will probably jump back and forth in my story.
No, not a problem. Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I have came up in this world with amazing family, mom and dad. It's been great, and my dad was a pastor for how long? 6 years or longer, and then he just wanted to become an RC MP. So he went and got that done, and then my hometown is back at home, in Steinbeck, and then we hopped in the car and went to way out west by the Rocky Mountains for years and years and years, and that's that's where things went downhill. But fam's doing fam is really good, and that's the best thing. And yeah.
okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about your story a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I'll go back a little bit, be more specific. I guess for me, the first real struggle that I kind of had growing up, that I never really kind of labeled it as a problem. It was one of those things where it kind of was something that just I did and happened, and you kind of just move on from it. You knew it wasn't right, but I never would have called myself an addict. But pornography was definitely a big thing for me when I was growing up. I never really got a proper introduction into that part of your life, hitting puberty and growing up. So I got into the wrong avenues, and it became a coping mechanism for me of dealing with things I was struggling with. Parents would be fighting, or you have a bad day, or you start to feel depressed, and that was my coping mechanism of getting out of my own head,
Yeah.
because it gives you that momentary satisfaction of just bliss and of just, getting out of your own head. You're getting a different experience, something that feels good in the moment.
A semblance of happiness.
Yeah, exactly. That small little rush of that chemical in your brain that gives you that good feeling, right? That's you, and like I said, never would have thought it was a problem, because you don't realize you're addicted to something until you have a moment of clarity or somebody calls you out on it, right?
Yeah.
And I never really had anybody talk to me about it or really call me out on it. Obviously, growing up, parents would find stuff and they'd have the talk with you of hey, this isn't okay. And I grew up in a Christian home, so that obviously was something that we were taught is wrong. That's how I was raised. Mm-hmm. And not that I didn't agree, but it definitely was something where it's okay, well, whatever. And it took me a long time to realize actually it's not just you that affects, it affects the people around you, right? Well, I'm only hurting myself, right? So it doesn't really matter. I'm not hurting the people around me by doing this. But then, come high school, and I met my future wife in high school. We met in grade 9. Wouldn't have known it at the time, obviously. We didn't talk a whole lot in grade 9, but come grade 9, grade 10, we started to hang out a lot more. I started to have feelings for this person, and then you really start to realize how something like that can get in between, because it screws with your brain. And it's a different kind of addiction than obviously drugs, but
Still an addiction.
it's
nonetheless.
still an addiction, and the how it kind of twists your mind and how you think, and just that impulse response of just needing that in the moment, and how you'll go to great lengths to get it. And that was, for me, I think, one of the realization of, I had a moment of clarity of just I sat down and I'm like, you know, man, there's moments in my life where I did some crazy stuff just to be able to get that, you know, be at the cabin with my family. We don't have Wi-Fi. You know, be wandering around the rocks, trying to get a Wi-Fi signal so that, you know, you could find some pornography, right? And it's like, why did I do that, right? And yeah, that's like, you realize that you're not yourself in that moment of like, oh, I need this. And then that for me was like when I kind of realized like, okay, this is a little bit more serious than I gave it credit for. You know, this is a problem. And I never really talked about it with anybody. Not that I wasn't close with my parents, but I never really felt like it was something I could talk about. I definitely had friends who were struggling with a similar thing, and even us band members, it's one thing that I know has been really great having, like, you know, we started getting together, jamming together, and especially because me and Sam met in high school. And that's kind of when we started the band. Wasn't serious at the time, obviously, but, you know, we both played instruments, and having people there for you, having friends, and then, yeah, exactly.
It becomes a family.
Yeah,
It does become a family, yeah, it really does. And so yeah, that kind of was like the first big thing for me. And obviously that leads to other kind of like, you know, continual struggles. I was like, you know, you work through that and you get better at it. And it took a long time to get a handle on it. Took a long time, you know. And yeah, and then being in a relationship was really hard, but my wife is an amazing woman, and she definitely was there for me a lot of those times. And we you know, you go through life with a person, right? And that's amazing. So I'm very blessed to have met her. And yeah, and then kind of after that, the biggest thing that kind of swept in was throughout, I think starting grade 11 to grade 12, we'd been dating for a couple of, actually no, we only really, I always forget, we did it a little strange. We hung out, we didn't officially date until like probably grade 12, but we were dating as it were, but didn't really. Kind of, exactly.
Yeah, you were seeing each other.
Yeah,
So you were
and
more than friends.
so come grade 12 is when we started officially dating. And she was starting to have some health problems, and really hard to get a diagnosis on it. She'd been seeing doctors because she just was experiencing just shortness of breath, like basic limb functions just weren't quite, you know, like working the way one should. Like an 18-year-old, 17-year-old shouldn't be having those kind of problems. Like, you know, having trouble walking, having trouble breathing, weird memory loss, and just stuff like that. And it was getting worse and worse. And the doctors, you know, she'd seen a couple doctors trying to like figure out what it was, and nobody really gave a good answer. They gave some advice, try this, try that, but nothing really seemed to improve or make it work. And then we found out a little bit later that it ended up being Lyme disease. And that was a huge kind of struggle. There were many days where we'd be hanging out, and after she lived about half an hour away from where I lived, and I usually drove her because she got to a point where driving was a little bit, you know, kind of iffy. So there were many days where we'd be hanging out, and it'd be time, like, you know, she's like, hey, I need to go home. I need to go home, kind of thing. And we'd be in the basement and she couldn't walk up the stairs. Like I'd be almost carrying her up the stairs almost every time we would hang out. And we did that for quite a while. That was usually, it became almost the norm of that's usually how it ended up having to be, where she just couldn't walk and I'd have to carry her up the stairs, get her home. And like I said, it kind of became normal, and my mentality was more than willing to be there for her and do it for her and whatever she needed. And it took a while to, like, I think for the impact of everything that, like all of that for her and for me, of the mental aspect of it, of the fact that, you know, it was a huge struggle for her in the sense of having to completely rely on somebody else to do something that you should be able to do. And for me to, you know, be in a committed relationship with somebody that had this struggle and this problem, and at the same time, when you had a previous struggle, addiction, and you get presented with more problems, well, your old coping mechanisms want to come back in of, this is hard, this is tough, get out of my own head, you know, those old thought patterns that you were connecting in your brain start to reattach themselves or want to, and then you have to fight that much harder to, like, I don't want to go back there. You know, I don't want to fall back into that. And it took a long time for her to get rid of it the first time, and we thought we were on the up and up, and it started to come back right in the middle of our wedding planning. That's when we suspected came back. We later, about a couple months afterward, got her re-diagnosed. She had it again. It didn't actually go away with the first round of treatment. It kind of just retreated for a bit and lay dormant for a while. So we had that kind of come back in the middle of wedding planning, and obviously COVID hit. We got married right in the middle of COVID. So that, you know, everybody's been experiencing what COVID has done to everyday regular lives. And then that was also when I found out that my parents were splitting up. And that all happened at the exact same time. That was all within that span of that year into the next year. And it took a long time to process all that. Still not done processing all that. There's still stuff that's still coming out, but it's definitely it's a different kind of mental health struggle that when it's not directly you, the one having the problem, but you're in a relationship with somebody who has this debilitating problem, and you love that person, and you take care of that person, and you would do anything for that person. But you also find yourself slipping, and you find yourself not meeting your own mental needs, and at the same time you feel like you can't stop because this person needs your help, right? And I got her permission to share all of this before saying any of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I know, and I know a lot of people that are in that same boat, you know, when it's not even necessarily you that is the one that has the problem, but somebody you love or somebody you're in a relationship with has a problem that albeit is a physical problem, the mental implications are just as important, if not more severe in a lot of cases. Because the one thing with Lyme is it affects everybody differently, and I know through being a part in that circle, like I've also encountered other people who have had it or have it as well, and it's different for everybody, and it affects people differently. A lot of people, it's a lot more physical, where they end up in a wheelchair. Other people, it's just this mental thing. You start to lose a sense of who you are.
Yeah.
And things that, you know, you were once very precise and keen at, like, you know, in terms of, like, in the case of my wife, you know, her memory, her ability to problem solve, and just her articulation of words was all something that was very very good at. And all of a sudden this disease comes in and it takes that away from you. And now you're left wondering, who am I, and what purpose do I serve now? Because you've stripped me of the things that kind of,
Made me who
I was. And so that's been something that it's been a struggle for her, and it's been a struggle for me to see her go through that, and kind of see that, to see her kind of start to think those things, and almost like you start to think less of yourself, of like, what purpose do I serve, and what am I even doing here? Like, why am I here? Like, I'm useless. That's a word that comes up often, of just feeling useless, and it's
And what she needs to realize is sometimes life does close the door in that avenue,
yeah.
but it also opens other ones,
Oh, absolutely.
right? So I mean, it's one of those things too. Like, I know with a lot of injuries and stuff like that, it's nothing like Lyme disease at all. But I mean, some debilitating injuries that I've had that have taken away some of the things I love and was phenomenally good at.
Right.
It was one of those things where it closed. Well, prime example, got really bad arthritis in my hands. I'm lucky if I can play guitar, for any longer than 10 minutes before my hands lock and I'm toast. I've played guitar since I was a kid. So it was one of those things I love, incredibly good at, had a career with it, and kind of built a life on it. It closed the door on that. Well, all I need to do is grip to play drums. So then I found another door that was open and switched over, started playing drums. Right? So it's like there's, as hard as it is to see in those states, sometimes it's, okay, well, I lost what made me me. I got to find myself. There's also another door that's open somewhere that you just got to find.
Absolutely.
A positive outlook, right? And that's what I've learned through a lot of like workshops. I've been to tons of seminars and stuff too, where it's any disability or debilitating situation, a lot of the time it's got to be viewed as a what's next,
Yeah.
not a what's no longer there.
Right. Well, exactly. Kind of.
Right.
You can't lose your perspective of moving forward, and kind of you have to keep in mind that it's not the end. It's not over. Right. And as much as it seems like, how can it get any better? Like, this is the worst. How can it get any better? There's always a silver lining, right? As cheesy as it is to say,
But there is.
and one thing that even for myself, I say it over and over again. Again, as cheesy as it is, but you know what? Speaking of like mental health, like the negatives is also the positive as well. If you keep forcing positive reinforcement into your head to counteract all the negative, that is, at the end of the day, one of the, if not one of the only ways to get through something, because the negative is going to just go in there and it's going to rip everything apart and make these pathways of just only negative thoughts get through. And maybe it's not going to get better in a year. Maybe it's going to take 5 years. Maybe it's going to take 10 years. But you can't stop telling yourself it's going to get better. You can't stop telling yourself.
Start working towards them, and showcase that you're not a victim.
Yeah.
Right? A kind of mentality. And like I was telling Ryan and Sam, like one of my most favorite exercise, I still do it to this day, even though like it is a daily battle no matter what you struggle with, right?
Absolutely.
But even to this day, one thing I do that has helped me become who I am and how successful as I am is I'll write down a bunch of negatives, and I always try to counteract those negatives. I find something that I've done with my day or within the last year that it's like, okay, well, I did this poorly. And then all of a sudden you come back to it and you think over the course of the year, well, I couldn't have done this poorly because look where I am now. And then it's kind of that, okay, well, now I can see where the mental health is coming from. Now I can see where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
So it's I've learned to broaden my horizons to view things outside the box. You view things like everyone else would, and don't just solely focus. If you think it's bad, doesn't necessarily mean it is. I mean, well, rightfully as musicians, we're all perfectionists.
Absolutely.
What we think might sound like garbage, it's gold.
It's the next guy's
to
perfect
somebody.
tone.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's kind of similar to that concept too,
Yeah.
right? So it's always that, that whole goal list all comes back to that. If you complete your goals, write them all out, focus on strictly positives, you'll be surprised how quickly that list will get checked off. But if you're continually negative, can't do this, or life's over, this is going to end, that's going to end, all that type of stuff, you tend to just fall into an even worse pattern than you originally were in.
Right.
Whereas if you're sending positives in where it's, well, that bloody well hurt, let's move to this aspect where I'm going to fight back.
Right.
And then you start looking at, okay, it took, we'll say for example, for PTSD, prime example, right? You get bursts of aggression and stuff. So you look at it from that standpoint, it would be okay, had a burst of aggression, but okay, I did this day, but I didn't have one this day, but I also was in the gym this day. There's the other door. But okay, I didn't have an episode this day, so the gym has something to do with that. That aggression was gone.
Right.
Right? So it's just finding ways to implement it into your daily pattern.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And recognizing those moments of it got better.
Yeah.
And then you know, focusing on that rather than focusing on all the times that it sucked. You know, because you know, you struggle with something, you have an addiction, and you know, you go a month of being clean and then you fall back into it. And rather than go, oh man, I failed, you go, okay, I went a month. Now let's go a month and a day. Now let's go a month and 2 days. You know,
Yeah,
and
just
you
do a day at a time.
keep focusing on the victory, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so and this past kind of 2 years I think have been probably some of the hardest of my life. And I mean, none of us in the band are that terribly old, so there's more to come, I'm sure. But you know, high school, just typical kind of, you know, the usual kind of depression and anxiety that I think is pretty common among young people in this day and age.
Especially with the amount of bullying and stuff like that takes place.
Yeah, and I think overall pressure. There seems to be, you know, life moves at a mile a minute. That's definitely something I've been realizing the more and more and trying to get into a career is life moves a mile a minute, and it feels like the minute you slow down is the minute you get left behind. And I think that's part of where a lot of the depression and anxiety and stress in our younger generation comes from is, you know, we've got social media that is showing us everything we could ever want to see, everything we could ever want to be, or everything we could ever wish we were in like within a minute you could see it all and you could find it all, and there's no restriction. And even when I going back to the porn, you know, there was a time when that was a lot harder if you were addicted to that to find it. Nowadays you got a cell phone, you got Wi-Fi, that's all it takes. And it
Not even cell service now.
you don't even need cell services. You know, you go to your McDonald's, you get some Wi-Fi, you're good to go. Like it's so much more accessible, and even as a musician, you know, you can go on Instagram, you can find a guitarist that is 1,000 times better than you are, and start to think to yourself, man, I'm not good enough, right? Like there's so much information that being blasted at us constantly that I think that's a big part of why, you know, it seems depression, anxiety seems to be on the rise, and some of these problems that maybe aren't new but just seem to be more prevalent.
Well, yeah, and like back in the day, like you look back to, well, I guess we'd go your guys' youth, like things like that were just starting to take off. Whereas now it's, well, if we had our devices in here sitting on the table, I can bet you we could start talking about guitars. We boot up any of our social media.
Yeah.
It's going to show different things about guitars or guitarists or something pertaining to that topic, right? Which in turn, well, now I'm going to want this $3,000 guitar because, well, my $2,000 one isn't good enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
yeah.
you're constantly, I mean, it works for the store selling it, right? Or you're seeing, you know, for what I've seen with some of the kids I've worked with too, is the models. They strive to make themselves that way. Well, it's like, I'm sorry, sweetheart, but you weren't built that way. Be happy with what you've got. These models, a lot of them will tell you they don't want to be like that.
Yeah, it's
Right?
it's a lifestyle, and that's so true. You know, you always see the good. Instagram's a prime example of, you know, your feed could be happy vacations, all the good things are going on in your life, but then the person behind the account is maybe, you know, having the worst year of their life. But Instagram doesn't show that. You know, you see the picture of the model, and she looks like, you know, gorgeous, but you don't know what she's doing to get
anorexia
there.
or bulimia or anything because of what she's doing to have this career, right?
Absolutely.
And there is some cases like that out there.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, I think that's a good point, that body dysmorphia or just hating how you look is, oh man,
Self-confidence, self-esteem are two heavy hitters.
I mean, that was definitely another thing for me growing up too. You know, I've always been a tall, skinny guy, you know, like something that was always a bit of an insecurity too, in the sense of, you know, you think to yourself like, man, if I got into a fight with that guy, would I win? You know what I mean? Like, you just, it's you look in the mirror and you're like, you wish you were like built different, right? And for me, putting on weight has always been hard. I'm just, it's a body type, right? You have to not look at all the people that you wish, oh man, I wish I was like that, or I wish this or that, you know, and it's so easy when you have a phone that can just show you whatever you want, right? But it takes a long time to like, to get to a point of, as cheesy as it sounds, loving yourself in the sense of being okay with who you are, right? And not saying that, oh, this is as good as I'm gonna get. Like, you know, not the idea that I'm perfect the way I am, in the sense that there's no room for improvement, but just realizing that who you are and how you are built is a part of who you are, and that you know, you don't have to. You're not going to become somebody else.
No, you're perfect the way you are.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to, it's a hard thing to phrase. If there's something about yourself that you dislike, there's nothing wrong with wanting to improve that. You know, I think recognizing that there's room for improvement in your life is how you move forward. Not in the sense of, oh, you know, the fact that I'm
That's
tall
how
and
we grow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, the fact that I'm tall and skinny is a bad thing. I need to get jacked. You know what I mean? If you want to get jacked, go right ahead. But you don't need to do that to be fulfilled or to be who you are, right? You know, that kind of thing, that kind of mentality. That you have to be okay with yourself where you're at before you can actually improve.
Oh, exactly.
Because if you're trying to improve and you hate yourself, you're just going to be more destructive.
Well, your biceps can increase, but your mental stability doesn't.
Exactly.
Right.
You know how you. Oh man, yeah. I know lots of people that kind of mentality, right? Like they went out to change something they disliked about themselves, but mentally they still didn't love who they were.
No.
And that you gotta fix that first.
And that's a mask.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that's the main fundamental. Like that's where I go. The show Beyond the Mask and like the workshops we do for the Success Beyond series and stuff in different communities, it's very much that's a mask we put on, right? I'm a victim of it personally, because with the stuff I dealt with, it's like I didn't want to be that small guy. I didn't want to be, you know, that tall, lanky, scrawny
Right. Yeah.
kind of guy. So then I fell to the, well, no, I'm going to lift weights until, you know, like I get to the point my veins are popping and everything else, and I'm going to be that bulk Jason Statham kind of character. Well, eventually I realized after several like pulled muscles, torn muscles, and injuries and stuff, it's like I wasn't built to do that. So you know what? No, I'm going to lift weights because I love it. I'm going to do my martial arts because I love it.
Exactly.
And I'm going to be built the way that I am built.
And that's a good, exactly that, like, because you love it is the most important part there, right? It's like, I'm doing this because I enjoy it and because I love doing it. I'm not doing it because I hate who I am and I want to somehow make me love myself more by changing who I am, which, you know, it's not going to work.
Well, yeah, because you look in the mirror at the end of the day and go,
Yeah.
okay, who's this person?
It's still you behind the mask.
Exactly,
Yeah.
behind that
Mhm.
mask that you created, right? So yeah, okay, you're ripped, you've got all this, you got all that, and you got exactly where you wanted. You still don't feel any better,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Do you got anything to add to that, Jayden?
Well, yeah. Like it's like like in my years, because I'm a little bit older than
Yeah.
the other guys in the band. Like I have seen personally, my good friends. They, as you were saying, they like go and put a mask on. They're not acting their own selves at all, and they like try to make themselves someone else, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And like that's not who like yourself is. Like you have to be who like when like how do I say this?
Well, high school,
Exactly.
right? You go to high school.
Yeah.
Those are the popular kids. I want to be like them.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
you watch their every move. You watch the way they engage with people, and how, if they're bullies or if
Exactly.
you know it's
Yeah.
a popular group of girls, they're disrespecting the other ones that may not want to show off as much skin, may want to be, you know, content with sitting, reading a book or
Mhm.
whatever,
Mhm.
right? When really in the end, there's no difference in appearance from either one of them.
Yeah.
It's just that concept of they like different things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But now this one wants to be like that one. So this one's going to do a complete 180 on who they actually are
Mhm.
to be like this one.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
this one's going to want to be like this one, and it's this vicious
And it's- yeah.
circle.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you find them 10 years later, I can guarantee you they're back to who they were, because they
Mhm.
realize that's not at all
Yeah.
who they were.
Or they're not happy with
Or they're
who
not
they
happy.
became. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's exactly what happened when in my life. Like in high school or junior high, you're just trying to fit
Survive.
in and just like
Yeah.
get
Survive.
yeah, and yeah, like oh my goodness, it just turned from being happy to hating my life, and then these kids are doing this stuff. I'll do this, and then I'll do that now, and then go on, and you end up in a hole that you dug yourself into. Now you have to dig yourself out and go, wow, that was not fun whatsoever. And then you just think about yourself, go, oh, I should be over here, not over there. And then you like if that makes sense, like if you are with a couple friends who are not good, like I know it will be hard to leave, but just you gotta take care of yourself. Like I've gone into it, and I made some very bad choices, and now I'm hurting from it now, but like I should have just turned my back, and yes, that would have been hard to leave in that lifetime, but it would have helped in like to where I am now. But yeah, like that just
It's hard to see that when you're in it.
yeah, exactly, because you have a blind on, you don't know what's going on, you're trying to fit in. Yeah, it's just, yeah, that's.
I know one thing I tell family and friends all the time is the biggest and best way I've always found to look at everything is you're a product of your own environment.
Mhm.
Where you put yourself makes the world of difference to how you're going to be, how you're going to feel, what actions you're going to make. You put yourself into, say, a friend's house where everyone's always fighting, you're going to get aggressive, you're going to get confrontational. That's the environment you spend most of your time at.
Oh, absolutely.
You go to a
Exactly.
happy, loving
Exactly.
home, you're going to be that compassionate, kind-hearted kid that's going to want to help everybody, anyone and everything, right? It doesn't even stop at people. It could be animals. It could be
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely anything out there.
Well, I definitely had to quit jobs before for exactly that reason. It was just exactly that product of your environment. It was just a stressful work environment, wasn't treated well, and started to get, oh man, I would wake up every morning frustrated to go to work, and I'd leave work every day freaking tired and just mad at what had happened, and just, yeah, you just get aggressive for no reason, and or not no reason, but like, you know, you come home and you're just mad already. Nothing's happened necessarily after you walked in that door, but you're already coming home mad from what you had been experienced at work. Even, and the longer you get in that, you just find yourself, that environment. You could have a good day, but just the environment just puts you on edge just because of what has happened there before, right? And yeah, sometimes you don't realize that. You have to recognize, okay, I need to, you know, it took me a while to realize I had to quit because I didn't attribute it to the job, right? But yeah, it gets in your head.
So with that type of thing being discussed and kind of the different avenues of it, what are your guys' thoughts towards the stigma that surrounds mental health, trauma, and addictions?
It's definitely not recognized to the scale that I think exists. And I think we've gotten better. You know, 10 years ago, I mean, I was a kid 10 years ago, but from people I've talked to and just what I've seen now, it does seem like it's gotten better in terms of the stigma. You know, I feel like it's recognized a little bit more, talked about a little bit more, but we're definitely not nearly as far as I think it needs to go. And the thing I feel like I've witnessed and seen as well is on the opposite side. I think a lot of people have taken what the good strides we made and corrupted them.
Yeah.
I see, and you know, you don't want to belittle anybody's experiences. Everybody has struggles, everybody has problems, but I definitely have seen a lot of people using the advances made as an excuse or abusing the systems that have been put in place to help people that have problems.
Yeah.
And it being abused in the sense of, and that's a touchy subject to talk about. You know, you can't say that anybody's problem or anything that they're going through is less or greater than, you know, obviously, like, you know, stuff you've gone through and what we've shared, different scales. And you know, if I run into somebody in the street and they say that they had a bad day and because their cat died and they're depressed about it, I can't tell them, oh, I've been through worse. That's nothing, right?
Which isn't right.
Because that's not right, you know, because it's like, you know, it's a different.
You become, you become the problem and you're no longer a solution.
Exactly. You know, just because I feel like, you know, I feel like what I've gone through is worse than what they've gone through doesn't mean that what they're going through isn't hard.
To them, it's the same as what you went through.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's a tricky thing to talk about, and like when you say people are abusing it, but I definitely have seen that where it's
a selfless thing. You have to be selfless. You got to be able to empathize with the people that you're having the conversation with, right?
Yeah.
And have that understanding of mutual respect, human decency, you know, where it's that, oh, well, I feel bad, like I'm here if you want to talk and stuff like that, right? Like, who's to say that cat wasn't a lifeline with a direct connection to maybe it was a relative that passed away that they were really close with, and that cat was the last thing holding them to it. That cat passes away, they've lost that connection.
Exactly, right? There's a lot of things that people don't think about that that you have no idea what that thing or that animal or that object that got broke or meant to that person, right?
Exactly.
So it's definitely a tricky thing. It's you know, it's one of those things. It is just a generally tough thing to work through because, you know, when you break your leg, it's like, okay, well, we know how to fix that. You can't really fix a mental health problem in quick, easy, put a cast on it and you're done, right? There is no easy solution to fixing or solving that problem. So, but I take the hopeful route in the sense of I feel like we have made, it seems to me like there have been made some good strides in recognizing it. I definitely had some employers who were decent and gracious in that area. I've also had some employers who definitely were not.
Yeah.
So we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there, I'd like to think. But
what do you think, Jayden?
Like, like it's almost the same as what he was saying, but like a bad cut, what will happen when it heals? It will not heal, right? There will still be a mark after when it's healed, and like that's exactly what like mental health is. It takes a very long time, or just it's just like it will always be in the back of your mind.
They leave scars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And
The only difference is scars like these ones,
They show.
you can see those.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Whereas you can't see the scars that are up there.
No.
but those scars in the back of your mind, they will pop out sometime or another. I have witnessed that many times in my lifetime. I am one of them that I had multiple of those scars, and I blew up. I literally just blew up, and yeah, I just made it a lot worse. And that's from not talking to people when you're hurting and just holding it in. It's like a bomb going
Like a trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, your mental scars
Yeah.
are almost like triggers.
Yeah, exactly. And
little
if someone says like a word or whatever, and that's what's the time off to go off to refer for the bomb, it's just you just have to talk to someone that you can trust with your life, and like we are all human. Like we all want someone there to be with you through the hard times, which I never had. I just kept it in, and yeah, like it's a lot of like if you are with someone that you trust, it will be a lot better in the long end, right?
Well, yeah,
But-
support system.
Exactly.
Or if I may touch on the music side, obviously because we're a band, that's definitely a lot of when we started taking this seriously, when it became more of just like we're going to play at the high school talent show and we're going to have some fun, when it became a thing of like, no, we're passionate about the music, the lyrics are important to us.
Yeah.
We love doing this, and we hope that through the music and through playing shows and meeting other people, that we can use that as an outlet to kind of connect with people and
Who knows? Maybe one of your songs could save somebody.
Exactly.
exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
to me is became a huge part of why we decided to do this and why we wanted to start trying to do this more seriously, try to turn it into something, as much as we are all musicians and we love playing the music, and to do that for a living would be fantastic. It also was became a huge part of, I guess, our outreach that we wanted to kind of use as well, through, because a lot of the lyrics, a lot of the songs we write about, we try to touch on a lot of those things just from all the stuff that we've shared. What me and Jayden have shared, what Ryan and Sam have shared, that makes its way into our music, and makes its way into the lyrical content of the songs, and it's kind of what we hope to use as a music as a platform, because I think for all of us, we can all agree that music's been a huge part of our coping through some of these things. As a musician, that's kind of how I can take what's going on in my head and presenting it to whoever's listening in a sense that they can maybe also relate to.
And it
You
puts
know?
heart.
Yeah,
It puts heart into your music.
absolutely. And just because I wrote the song about my struggle doesn't mean that it'll touch somebody with a completely different struggle, and I think that's the beauty of music. is-
Perception.
Exactly. A couple of our songs have had, people say like, oh man, I could totally see how this song could be about this, and that's not at all what I had in mind, but it was just so cool to see, oh, that's how you took it? That's awesome. And we had somebody from our last show that we played just kind of reach out to me privately after the show, and they just said that one of the songs kind of really touched them, and they've been going through a hard time this year, and the one song we played kind of really spoke to them, and they liked the show, and they're like they wanted to come to more. And that was the first time I've ever had and like that kind of feedback from one of our performances, and that was huge. Like I was, that felt really good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of exactly what we want to try and do with the music too, right? Is you know, maybe try and reach out to somebody else that doesn't feel like maybe they're being heard or being recognized, because it's so easy when you struggle, I feel like, to think you're the only one. I definitely been there many times where you start to think I'm the only one that's going through this, and it can be really, really helpful to find out you're not the only one, or maybe listen to a song that's like, man, this guy's going through the same thing, or has gone through the same thing, or you know, you feel recognized, you feel somebody's listening to you, you know? Because I definitely, you know, for me, there's been music that has gotten me through tough times. I could name a list of bands and artists and songs that like, these people helped me get through this, these people helped me get through this, right? So, yeah.
No, music is huge. Like, music for mental health actually is a thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, it's people that have gone through various aspects, whether it's mental health, trauma, addictions, anything like that. You talk to a lot of people, the minute they grab a bass, they grab their guitar, step up to the mic, pick up their drumsticks even. Not even sit at their drums, just grab their drumsticks, or they grab their, you know, their guitar. The minute they have that in their hands, that's their security. Like some kids have security blankets, us musicians have our tools for us to be able to just vent, right? That is our outlet.
Yeah, you pick up an instrument and all of a sudden, you know, like I've definitely seen cases of that where, you know, somebody has shaky hands or could barely speak, but then all of a sudden they start singing and it's like all their problems went away. And then as soon as they're done, and it's back to...
And they're really good.
And they're really good. They're fantastic, yeah. And so, you know, music is absolutely powerful, right? And it's...
Well, it's everyday thing.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, there's music.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even when you're texting, that click is still an audible sound.
Absolutely, yeah.
Still comes from music.
And you know, obviously, the genre of music that we play definitely won't appeal to everybody, but I feel like just metal rock in general just is a, especially when you're, you know, a group of people that are fairly calm for the most part, is a way to, like, you know, get some of that
Aggression.
that anger and aggression out in a healthy way, right? I definitely, you know, it's fun to get up on stage and just headbang, or even just go to a concert and just headbang to metal, right? Like, you know, there definitely has been a stigmatism around metal for many years, but I know for a lot of people that is, the music and the music they listen to greatly helped them with some of the mental stuff they were struggling with, or it was an outlet for them to, like, get something out where otherwise maybe getting out what they need to get out in a different context would have been destructive. This is a constructive way of releasing some of that negativity, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, do you guys have any advice for anyone who may be facing the struggles you're facing?
Just like, don't hold it in, like really don't hold it in at all. Talk to your mom and dad, or your I don't know, a good close friend, and just like tell them this, get it off your chest completely, because it just weighs you down. If you don't, it will just wreck you, and it's not good. And just and ask them if they can keep you accountable at all times, like every week, at least text or call once or twice a week at least, and see how you're doing and stuff. And but just have to talk to someone. It could be in this like a pastor, or I don't know, like your parents or whatever. But yeah, just get it off your chest so that you're not like hurting inside, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. in my case, you know, when it's you're struggling with somebody, or you know, you're having to watch somebody go through a struggle, never give up, for one, and just, you know, try to love that person as much as you can, because like I said before, you know, when you have those thoughts of I'm useless circulating through your head, you know, I've definitely been in places where, you know, I was in a deep, dark place, and it just took somebody being there for me unconditionally to just show that there was still somebody out there who cared. So, and yeah, like Jayden said, a support group.
Yeah.
And, you know, people that will not let you go over the line.
Well, yeah, friend, family,
Yeah.
loved ones.
Yeah.
And somebody that
animals.
is yeah. Yeah.
Prime example.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need that anchor, because I feel like sometimes when you feel like it's only you left, is when
You need that
yeah.
someone to pretty much just dig their heels in and go, no, you're not moving
Yeah.
any further.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
easy to, even like in terms of like, you know, contemplating suicide, it's so easy when you lose track of the people around you to think of just you know. Oh man, I can't go on, I can't do this anymore. You get tunnel vision, right? And to have a support group that is not going to let you go.
You go from this to
Exactly. Somebody that can open your eyes and give you a wider perspective that you just can't see right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's so many times where it's like you go tunnel vision and you can't see anything but that until somebody just showed you that there was more, and all of a sudden you look back and you're like, man, like I'm so glad you expanded my view, because you just couldn't see it. So yeah, support group I'd say is huge. People that just and you know, it doesn't, and like you said, it doesn't have to be anything extreme, like animals, friends, like just somebody that really cares. And it doesn't have to be, you know, that intense. Even just somebody texting you and saying, hey, how you doing? And honestly meaning it, not just the passing by, hey, how you doing? Just somebody to just honestly, out of the blue, just, hey, how you doing? I care about you. You know, that can go so far. And I'd say for people out there, if you're not struggling with anything serious that you know that you can't cope with, be there for your friends. Be there for the people in your life that need it. So many times I hear stories in this past year of people taking their own lives, people that were close to people I knew, and to me, I sometimes wonder if, you know, all that person needed was just somebody to reach out to them. And you know, not
kind of just be like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
here.
And you know, not to say that anybody taking their own life is, you know, if you didn't reach out, it's your fault. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you know somebody in your life that is struggling with something, just be there for them. It doesn't take much. You literally, it could be a text message, it could be a phone call, it could be just showing up at their house. It doesn't take a whole lot of time out of your day. Just be there for them. Just show that you care. That goes a long way. Yeah.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
You had something to add, Jayden?
Yeah, like it's like how he was saying that, like always, like if you are doing okay, which everyone has something going on, but if you can take care of it yourself, like it could be some random person on the road that you could just wave or smile, that right there will go, that person will go, whoa, that was nice of that person, and that lightens up their day, and then they'll go and do it to the other, like a random person, and then that just goes on and on and on. And like as you were saying, like having your blinders on, right? It's like those race horses. They have the shield on their eyes.
Yeah.
They just see one way, and that's it, and that's all. And if you take them off, they'll look around, go, oh, what's going on? Like there's other horses and stuff, but like try and just like not be that. Just you see everyone's at the same place.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know, just because you're struggling with something doesn't mean other people around you aren't struggling as well. And to look beyond yourself and go, hey, these people need my help. You know, don't get too focused on yourself sometimes. 'Cause you know, you might miss somebody that needs your help.
And that person could be some random person, but you can just, do you want a hug? Just, that might be weird in this day and age, but but like a
Even a simple
handshake
bro
or,
hug, you
yeah,
know, or-
exactly, or just like a handshake or whatever, and just tell them like you are not alone in this, and like we're all human, we need each other, and yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So if you could talk to 9-year-old you, what advice would you give him given what you know
Oh,
now?
goodness.
That's a good question, right? Yeah, who hasn't thought that before? If I could go
Goodness.
back in time,
Yeah.
if I could talk to my 9-year-old self, I would tell them what sports games are going to. No, just kidding.
Buy the lotto.
No, in all honesty, if I could talk to my younger self, I would.
It's always a stumper.
It's always
yeah.
a stumper.
Yeah. What about you, Jayden? What
Well,
about you?
Yeah, there would be a lot. Like, I would tell my old self, do not follow what other people are doing. Like, I am me, and they are them. Like, don't, like, double think, like, my life and going, hey, I am not as cool as them. I want to be as cool as them. No, you are an amazing person. You are just awesome by just being me, and that's it, and that's all. Like the other person will be them, and they can do whatever they want.
Well, exactly. Be true to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And don't put on a face mask and hide what's really under the face mask, right? You want to show who you really are, and yeah, like that will go a long ways. And that's about what it is.
Yeah. You think you've got her?
Yeah, I think I would try to show myself or give myself the opportunity to see what support you're going to need. Because, and just kind of without telling that person what's about to come, but just help them be more prepared for it. Because I think that's often the biggest thing is struggle is going to come. You can't avoid struggle in your life. If you fix one problem, you'll run into another. I think what we try to be is we try to be more prepared for when struggle hits, how to handle it.
Yeah.
Because it's often not in the struggle is where we're the most damaged. It's often in how we handle the struggle is where we damage ourselves the most. So I think that if I could tell my younger self, I'd try to like help them to prepare. You know, you might experience this in life. Here's some advice on how you can handle it better when it happens, because it's going to happen. But yeah, just to be more prepared. And then hopefully, the more prepared you get, the more experience you get, you hope that you don't make the same mistake too many times after that. You hope you learn from your mistakes and make new mistakes and then learn from those. And then
Exactly. Part of what makes us human, right? That's how we learn.
Absolutely.
That's how intelligence and everything is gained, right? We got to fail in order to succeed. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any closing comments for anybody out there?
Hopefully, what Sam and Ryan shared in the previous episode and what we shared today, if there's anybody in the audience that kind of spoke to or that made if there's anybody that could relate and it helped, trying to articulate my words. Hopefully that what we had to share today was hopeful and helpful. And if anybody wants to reach out to us, we all for it. If there's anybody that something we said, or even one of our something in a lyric, or they want to like reach out and say, hey, just have a conversation, just talk. Absolutely. Yeah.
Jayden?
And just don't hide in the back, like where the lights don't shine. Like, come out and into the light and actually like be who, just don't put on a mask. Really, it's what it is. Like, and if you are going through some tough times where you don't know where to go, there's people out there that are like they can help you, but everyone, like mom and dad or like best friends, pastors, and like like your wife or whatever, just let them know what's going on, and if they will always be there, and will hug you if you need a shoulder to just cry on. They will be there completely, and yeah, like just have someone around you that loves you and stuff, and they'll take, and it will all work out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if you're somebody you feel like you don't have a support group, or you feel like you don't have anybody in your life that is supportive of you or there for you, try and seek that out. And if you know somebody that doesn't have a support group, try and be their support group.
Yeah.
Because there are probably a lot of people out there that, you know, their family is not their support group because their
Mhm.
family is their problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, they obviously are not going to be there for that person. So
Mhm.
some people need an outside source that isn't their family to be their support group, right? So,
Well,
Mhm.
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks
you
for
guys
having
for
us.
being,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
being
you.
on the show. It means a
Yeah.
lot. And to everyone watching, hopefully you pick something out of there. And like the boys said, you can always reach out to them on any of their social media platforms. And just stay strong, keep moving. Thanks for watching.